Y'all are really excited to get to the $2 trillion spending package that Biden is laying out. Just skip ahead a couple of minutes because I wanted to do an update on two of the stories. I guess we could probably update the third one that I did yesterday as well. Not enough substance for videos on themselves, so I just wanted to throw this all in at the beginning of this one because it just seems right to follow up on the stories. So the Iowa House race for the United States Congress is over. Okay, not but a few hours after I dropped my video, this story came out earlier this morning that Rita Hart, the Democrat, just decided, yeah, I'll just take my shit and go home. It's good, right? Because here's her statement on the entire thing. After many conversations with people I trust about the future of this contest, I made the decision to withdraw my contest before the House Committee on Administration. Since Election Day and throughout the entire process, my mission has been about ensuring the voices of Iowans who followed the law are not silenced. I am saddened that some Iowan votes will not count through no fault of their own. The work of ensuring it does not happen again will continue beyond this campaign. I like the last line of that. The rest of the bickering, she never properly presented any evidence that any votes were intentionally disregarded or were wrongly disregarded because of no fault of their own. All we knew is that there are 22 out there that she believes were improperly discarded, but it's all done. Like I said yesterday, I'm pretty sure I said this yesterday. Just try again. It's a House seat. 2 years. You can try again in 2022. And because it was that close, I don't know why you wouldn't want to try again then. You'd have a decent chance, okay? If your people think that you were screwed, you'll have an opportunity to try again and prove them wrong. Why not? But of course, Pelosi most affected. But who cares? So I guess that story's all wrapped up. How about Matt Gaetz? Okay, seen a bunch of different conversation on this one. And yeah, my opinion on this doesn't change. Me Too allegations just like this fall under that whole pesky thing under the law where you're innocent until proven guilty. And we got the source article here, New York Times, okay? One guy pointed out, oh, it was signed off by Bill Barr. Cool. Who believes that Bill Barr has any shred of credibility left, okay? I don't like this idea of appealing to authority. Oh, well, Bill Barr was a part of it, therefore. Or did you know Ronald Reagan said this before? It really doesn't matter. I don't care. I like opinions from people from all across the spectrum. I might not agree with them on everything, but I will still take what they specialize in, have all the facts about, weigh them with somebody else who might have a different opinion, and I don't care. Depending on what they come out with. It's like, okay, perfect example. Sam Harris has a great take on Islam. Okay? Everything else, I think that he's a total mental patient who adheres to his own personal ideology, which he doesn't want to accept that he has. He has foregone traditional religion in order to set up his own atheistic religion. He can't reconcile those two things. Therefore, he just thinks that everybody he disagrees with is Hitler and constantly goes on spurg fits on Twitter every other day saying, oh, I should get off this platform because I don't think it'd be good for you. But anyways, this story is very weird. It's very, very weird. If you guys don't recall from yesterday, I'll just give you the brief overview. Sex trafficking a 17-year-old. That's the claims. But what is this about? It's even more twisted. Investigators are examining whether Mr. Gaetz violated federal sex trafficking laws. That's a Mann Act. Variety of federal statutes make it illegal to induce somebody under 18 to travel over state lines, knocking over mailboxes, to engage in sex in exchange for money or something of value, including buckets of hair gel. Anyways, the Justice Department regularly prosecutes such cases, and offenders often receive severe sentences. And you know what? Even if he was guilty of this, which I still don't think that there's going to be any sort of consequences of this, congressmen don't tend to face very serious consequences regardless, so let's fucking walk this back a little bit. But who are the people who are the sources for this article? Well, it says right up here in the beginning, 3 people briefed on the matter. So they don't even have first-hand information. At best, they're being told second-hand information. Okay? So this is the quality of people who are providing the source evidence on this. It is not clear how Mr. Gaetz met the girl, believed to be 17 at the time of the encounters about 2 years ago, that investigators are scrutinizing, according to two of the people. Not even all three people who were briefed on this situation can come to a consensus. Who we don't know which agencies they're a part of. We don't even know if they were just passing by and maybe even heard this, or what they even know. The investigation was opened in the final months of the Trump administration under Attorney General William P. Barr. Okay, cool. Everybody remembers when he resigned, right? December 23rd was when he resigned. Okay. Now, another thing, if this was legit, if this was an actual investigation that was going on, which once again, there's no actual proof or any tangible evidence that there is a investigation going on, wouldn't you think that somebody who is so high profile, somebody who is a devout defender of President Trump at the time, wouldn't something like this get leaked out? It's just weird that he's been appointed to the House Judiciary Committee and Ted Lieu's screeching out there on the front lawn of Congress that Matt Gaetz should be removed because he's in deep trouble. I guess that Stop Asian Hate hashtag is just kind of ran its course, so he's looking for another side project to take up. So no, if this got leaked now, and there was an investigation going on back then during the contestation and the election itself, wouldn't you think that this story might have leaked out there? I don't know. Like I said yesterday, I think this is just a little bit too goddamn familiar. The investigation was opened in the final months of the Trump administration. Yes, under Barr. Two of the people said, Mr. Gaetz' national profile, senior Justice Department officials in Washington, including some appointed by Trump, were notified of this investigation. The people said. So now, what is that? Third-hand information? These people said that other people were told by other people about the investigation. Okay, any proof of this investigation? No, we can't provide that. The three people said that the examination of Mr. Gaetz, 38, is part of a broader investigation into political ally of his, a local official in Florida named Joel Greenberg. Okay, so somebody Gaetz knows? You think he knows? He's a political ally. He's been shown with Gaetz and Roger Stone in the White House. Like, this is what we're going on. Anyways, yeah, Greenberg, who was indicted last summer on an array of charges, including sex trafficking of a child and financially supporting people in exchange for sex, at least one of whom was an underage girl. Okay, so Joel Greenberg's probably a creep. Do you guys know what all your friends do? Yeah, exactly. Mr. Greenberg, who since resigned his post as a tax collector in Seminole County. A tax collector hanging out with prostitutes. Where have we heard that story before? North of Orlando, visited the White House with Mr. Gaetz in 2019. According to a photograph that Mr. Greenberg posted on his Twitter, no charges have been brought against Gaetz. Let me read that again. No charges have been brought against Mr. Gaetz, and the extent of his criminal exposure is unclear. What's the headline? Matt Gaetz said to face Justice Department inquiry over sex with underage girl. They went out, they got their clicks, they got their coverage based on what they wanted it to. Meanwhile, multiple paragraphs in, criminal exposure is unclear. So there you go. I'm sure Gaetz is lawyering up. He gave that really weird interview to Tucker, but at the same time, I can understand it, okay? Clearly, Gaetz and Tucker have some sort of a relationship outside of politics. Said that they were on a dinner date before, trying to appeal to Tucker. It was, yeah, kind of weird, but at the same time, the dude is facing immense scrutiny, and shit gets a little bit fucked up. You just start grabbing from side to side whenever you're under attack. You're just trying to grab onto anything because things get a little bit jumbled up when you're in trouble, I'd imagine, at this level, right? Like, I'll just tell you, when my channel went from being in 100% great standing to all of a sudden within the course of a couple of days being canceled for a week, I was left scratching my head trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And just imagine going on a national cable broadcast, the largest news broadcast in history, you're going to be a tad bit disoriented. So I'm not going to hold that interview against him, but if he still keeps going down that weird line of questioning, then there might be something there. But at the same time, Andrew Cuomo has, a dozen people coming out against him at this point? It's just about at 10, I think. But still, at the same time, nobody has any evidence, okay? And I'm not going to throw anybody out unless there is tangible proof behind it. So that's a little bit of an update. A little bit longer than I anticipated, but all of these articles, the both of them here, they're going to be linked in the beginning as well. And now we're going to get into the main event. Biden unveils $2 trillion. Yes, that is trillion with a T. Something your great-great-grandkids are going to be paying for. To fix roads and reimagine a new climate-proof economy. Okay, remember when it used to be global warming that the climate activists would stump out there for? I'm pretty sure that was the term that was used during the Inconvenient Truth, that slickly produced piece of Hollywood propaganda that got an entire generation indoctrinated. And then it was climate change. And now the definition of climate change is whatever it needs to be. And now we're working on how to make a climate-proof economy. How the fuck are you going to do that? Are you just going to put a giant dome over the country? Oh. Well, with that much money, you might be able to. President Joe Biden today will be promoting his $2 trillion infrastructure plan, which, besides aiming to fix roads and bridges, also features an expansive climate change and social welfare agenda. Ugh. This is an infrastructure plan with social welfare included in it. Terrific. With the White House calling it a moment to reimagine, to build back better, to perform a great reset, and build a new economy. Because the old one, prior to 2019, was just too record-breaking for you to handle. I know it's a little bit too fast-moving for old Sleepy Joe, but come on now. The White House officials said on a call with reporters that Biden will call for a dramatic and more permanent shift in the direction of the United States economy. Why? With a generational investment in upgrading and reorienting our power infrastructure in this country for the carbon-free electric future. Why? Why are you doing this all of a sudden? If you wanted a slow and gradual move towards that would be terrific. And if you had the end goal of being nuclear power, that would be terrific. But it's not. It's solar and wind and a bunch of other dumb shit. But hey, remember, Joe Biden's a moderate. And my plan's not the Green New Deal, okay? Sure fucking reeks of it. Every dollar spent on rebuilding our infrastructure during the Biden administration, will be used to prevent, reduce, and recycle. Oh no, and withstand the impacts of the climate crisis. What made it a climate crisis all of a sudden? Fuck, I thought we were back at climate proof for a minute. They also said Biden's proposal, which is detailed in the White House briefing paper, I'd rather not, and which the president plans to discuss in an afternoon speech in Pittsburgh. He was supposed to do that last Friday after his press conference. What happened, Joe? A little bit too much excitement for you for a week, so you had to lock it down for the weekend? Who saw that coming? Also features a major social justice thrust. Of course it does, right in the pooper. Unlike past major investments, this plan prioritizes addressing longstanding and persistent racial injustice, something that Joe Biden has voted to propagate for the past, 47 years. The plan targets 40% of the benefits of climate and clean infrastructure investments to disadvantaged communities. What, just so they can pick apart the solar panels? Called the American Jobs Plan. I'd call that American Burden Plan. I'd imagine that was taken. It calls for $621 billion, oh my god, to rebuild the nation's infrastructure, including a $174 billion investment in the electric vehicle market, and sets a goal of a nationwide charging network by 2030. At the rate in which technology is evolving, if you're trying to set something up for 9-10 years down the road, it's going to be obsolete by the time that you put the first charging docks in, by the time that you put the last ones in. So what the fuck are you doing here? Congress will also be asked to put $400 billion, oh my god, toward affordable housing and community-based care for aging Americans and people with disabilities. Now, is it Section 8 housing where it's just government rent-controlled garbage housing, or is it Section 5 housing, which we talked about the last time when we went over this prospective tax plan way back in the day? So I think it was like October or something. Yeah, Section 5 housing, it at least provides for a way where you are helped by the government and you work your way towards a state of ownership. It's much better, it's much less regulated, and it is an actual way of getting people out of poverty. But that's not what this is for. This is for keeping you on the tit as long as possible. There is $213 billion provided to build and retrofit affordable and sustainable homes, along with hundreds of billions to support U.S. manufacturing, bolster the nation's electric grid by selling it to China, enact nationwide high-speed broadband that they will go ahead and regulate because they're putting it in, and revamp the nation's water systems to ensure clean drinking water. Outside of Flint, I don't think anybody's really suffering from terrible drinking water situations. Corporate tax hike. Well, this is going to make it so that this burden of a bill is going to be sticking around forever. Biden aims to put corporate America on the hook for the tab. That won't be the only place where it stays, which is expected to grow to a combined $4 trillion once he rolls out the second part of his economic plan in April. Oh my God. $1.9 trillion in COVID relief, even though 9% of it actually went as COVID relief. And then up to $4 trillion by April. I know it's not all in one dump, but for fuck's sakes, $5.9 trillion. How can the Democrats call themselves other than socialists at this point? I don't get it. If you think that just corporations are going to pay this, yeah, the ones that are left might be paying a higher tax rate, but guess who's going to be flipping the bill? And guess who's also getting a tax increase? That would be the middle class, or what will be left of them, because the Trump tax hikes, when they expire, everybody gets a tax increase. Just go back and look at that old video. I broke it down. Every tax bracket. If passed alongside President Biden's Made in America corporate tax plan, it will be fully paid within the next 15 years. You're making plenty of assumptions on that one. You're thinking by having one of the highest corporate tax rates in the entire world, corporations are going to be sticking around and creating new jobs here. You're out of your fucking tree, sir. And reduce deficits in the years after. The bananas. Fucking bananas, with a senior administration official saying the cost of all the plan's projects would be spread over an 8-year period. Biden has proposed several changes to the tax code, including raising the corporate tax rate to 28%, up from 21%, a level that the Trump administration brought down from 35%. Oh my God. Listen, the economy was doing better than it ever had in the entire history of the United States, in part because the corporate tax rate went down. You know why? Because when corporations have more money to spend, and when it is advantageous for them to build facilities in the United States because of a lower corporate tax rate, guess what they do? They create more jobs, and then they build more facilities for more people to be working there. But when you raise it up to 28%, guess what they do after coming off the back of a massive shutdown when many other countries around the world are opening up? Guess what happens? Those companies that come in, with those companies that contemplated leaving, execute on those plans. The Tax Foundation said in a report released February 28th that Biden's plan to hike the tax rate for corporations would eliminate 159,000 jobs. Ooh, depress wages by 0.7% and reduce long-run economic output by 0.8%. Yeah, but Wall Street firm rated my plan as being better because I'd have more jobs coming out of it. Even though anybody with just a little bit of an idea of how economics work could have seen that type of forecast coming from a mile away. For now, Biden is sparing wealthier Americans from a tax increase, with the senior administration official telling reporters that the infrastructure plan won't include increases in the top marginal tax rate or to the capital gains tax, but would focus on raising corporate tax rate to 28%. That's going to affect everybody. Anyways, and changing the tax code to close loopholes. They're precious loopholes that they always point to that allow companies to move profits overseas. Yeah, okay. Move the profits overseas, guess what's going to follow? The entire corporation. Coupled with the recently enacted $1.9 trillion relief package. Please don't point it out. I already did. That it hurts enough. Biden's infrastructure initiative would give the federal government a bigger role in the United States economy than it has had in generations, accounting for 20% or more of annual output. What are the 9 scariest words in the English language? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Moderate Democrats have the right idea on this one. They don't list who they are, but it doesn't really much matter to express this anecdote. Have said that that the package should be more targeted to traditional infrastructure projects to attract Republican votes, seeking a return to bipartisan policymaking. You'd like to see it, but at the same time, reconciliation programs between Pelosi and Schumer being discussed in order to push this through, which, as we've discussed, your great-great-great-grandchildren are going to be paying this debt off. This is the government thinking that they know what to do with your money better than what you can do with it, which is the most generous interpretation of that. Other than thinking that they're decent people, the more malevolent take on this would be a certain power trip that the more malevolent Democrats think that they will be able to get by annexing the cash that you work so hard for and distributing out as they see fit. Okay? You guys seen where a lot of this money was going, like hundreds of billions of dollars going to housing programs, which they've been funding for generations, that have just turned out to be facilitating the ghettos and nothing else. Wide-eyed and naive electric vehicle programs, and then just throwing over $500 billion into infrastructure. Well, what do you mean by that? Infrastructure, okay? They've lost touch. Democrats have lost touch. And it looks like the GOP actually gets it. Perhaps. This is just a memo after all, but it's between Representative Banks and Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, urging that House Republicans must embrace policies supported by working class voters if they intend to succeed in flipping the House in 2022 midterm elections. Could it be too late by then? I don't know. Who knows? Depends on how much damage that the Democrats can jam through. And that's literally what they're doing, because they aren't asking the opinion of the other side. They have the power. They're taking the square peg and just fucking mashing it right through that round hole, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like it says here, just in the bottom corner, right beside my face, I'd imagine. According to AOC, you know her, you love her, Biden's $2 trillion infrastructure plan needs to be way bigger. That's the future of the Democratic Party, okay? It's not the moderates. They keep leaning farther and farther and farther to the authoritarian left. I think that the idea between the left and the right divide is ridiculous. It's no longer fit for purpose. It is much more of an up-down parallel. It is on the top, you got your authoritarians, and then on the bottom, you have your, and I hate the term libertarian because it's just a poisoned term by the lolbertarians out there, but populist, perhaps, maybe that's a more ethical word out there. But like how we did the cursory update on the Matt Gaetz situation, it's necessary to stand by people until they are proven guilty. And then at the same time, to hold on to another old traditional value. Believe that when people are given their own means to succeed and not told which way to go, they will generally find the way forward themselves without having to guide them down the path, but rather just present them with the opportunity to do the best thing for themselves. The long and short of it is, that spending bill is an abomination. It is something that's going to linger over the world because this is just a vague outline that many other like-minded countries around the world, most specifically Canada, could follow into the future. That's why it's important to keep your elected officials held accountable. Know what they're up to, know what they're doing, know who's in charge, and always stay engaged. With that said, guys, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.